Hey everyone. I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram.
Finally, some good news. This update from Mark Zuckerberg today actually gives me some hope for once. Freedom of speech is coming back to Facebook and Instagram. Thank the Lord. Anyone out there who has been posting any kind of political content on Instagram and Facebook over the past few years, you will have struggled with posts being taken down. You might have struggled with being shadow banned, as we call it, where your account gets deprioritized. You will have struggled with censorship. We've had some people who have got huge accounts who have worked for years and years on building up their following, having their accounts taken down. It's been chaos, and that's why everybody has turned to X. But Mark Zuckerberg, he has woken up and he is going to make a change. I'm so excited for this. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms.
Woohoo!
More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X, starting in the US.
Oh yeah.
After Trump first
Freedom's
got elected
back,
in
baby.
2016, the legacy media wrote non-stop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse.
Thank God.
What started
we can
as
talk
a
about it
movement
once
to be more
again.
inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed. So we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again.
This is the best part of his whole announcement here, because for me, when I first started making videos, making Instagram Reels, I was doing so well on there. I was getting hundreds of thousands of views on my Reels, and all of a sudden, they brought in this filter to reduce the amount of political content on people's feeds. My views, they dropped right down, and I haven't really been able to rely on Instagram that much consequently to get my voice out there. But looks like Instagram is back, baby. I'm so happy.
So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it. It'll take time to get this right, and these are complex systems. They're never going to be perfect. There's also a lot of illegal stuff that we still need to work very hard to remove. But the bottom line is that after years of having our content moderation work focus primarily on removing content, it is time to focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our systems, and getting back to our roots about giving people voice. I'm looking forward to this next chapter. Stay good out there, and more to come soon.
There we go. How exciting! Freedom of speech is back on Facebook and Instagram. I could not be happier about this because, as I said, when I first started making content, Instagram was my favourite platform. I loved making short form content on there, and then all of a sudden Meta just overnight just completely screwed us over and said, nope, we're not going to show people political content anymore. Your videos, they are back of the algorithm. We're not going to show them to anybody, and you have no idea how upsetting this is. You know, X, I'm sorry, the kind of videos I make, they just don't do as well on X as they did on Instagram, the kind of stuff that I like to make. So yeah, this is super, super exciting. Amazing to see Mark Zuckerberg finally wake up to the light. And, you know, I appreciate the humility that he's shown there to put his hands up and say, you know what, we messed up. The government asked us to censor, and we did it. We made a mistake there. You know, in COVID, they gave in to government demands to censor content. People who said, questioned vaccines, masks, lockdowns, etc. were having their accounts banned, content taken down, etc. But he's put his hands up there and said, you know what, the censors, they were too biased. And I'm so happy that they are going to allow political content to be back at the top of the algorithm. Again, this is great, great news, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just have a look at what Nigel Farage had to say on this.
Great news, fellow Facebookers. It's happened. Nick Clegg is out, Dana White of UFC is in. And today, Mark Zuckerberg's given a big statement saying, we're going back to our roots as a home of free speech. We're even going to be allowed to talk about immigration. All those third-party checkers that were blocking accounts, they're all being fired, that have community notes, just like X do. This is great news for our community. It means I'll give you content you can spread without fear of being shut down or suspended. Facebook is back. Trump is back. Free speech is back. And woke has just died.
There we go. Nigel Farage saying woke has just died. It really does start to feel like we are finally turning the tide on woke and on censorship. We're finally getting free speech back. So, you know, hopefully this is a good bit of good news to cheer you up after a week of, you know, quite depressing news about the grooming gangs. Obviously, it's a fantastic that we're talking about, but some of the stories are pretty horrifying to hear. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel this week. Anyway, I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to the Reason channel if you are not already. See you all next time.
Still watching? Well, I've got a quick ask for you. Recent UK, we're fighting the woke brigade and inspiring young Brits, but we need your help to go bigger. We're hosting a fundraiser and would love you to sign up and share the link on the big day. It's easy, it makes a massive impact, and there are prizes for top fundraisers. Click the Google form in the description to join us. Cheers very much. Let's keep going together.